With the great weather out there, I'm sure everybody's gearing up to get ready for running. So we're going to talk about a couple running myths tonight, and we'll talk about a couple things that you can do to start working on running form, running position. So a few running myths. One of the running myths out there is that people are worried about whether hitting rear foot, forefoot, or midfoot. So rear foot being heel, midfoot being the middle, forefoot being the front of your foot. And a lot of research is actually disproving this. There are actually marathon runners, depending on where they are in their race, they're going to change how they strike. So they're going to change from hitting the front of their foot to hitting the back of their foot to hitting their midfoot more. And so it's all based on energy conservation and efficiency. So really, unless you've got something else going on that's going to predispose you to having to change your gait, don't worry about how you're actually striking and how you're actually hitting the ground. Worry about being comfortable. The other thing is the type of shoe. So we've heard a lot about barefoot running and heard a lot about being in maximal protection shoes or shoes that have a lot of cushioning, and one's going to predispose you to injuries because of certain forces or ground reaction forces a little bit more than another. But when they take a look at all the force and all the research on different shoes, barefoot versus minimalist versus maximalist shoes versus in between, there's not a huge difference in injury rates. Yes, there's a difference in forces, but not a difference in injury rates. So we don't understand why. Biggest thing is find the shoe that's comfortable for you. That's what the research is pointing to. For some things that you can actually look at, so when you're gearing up to get ready for running and going outside and starting to run, as the weather gets nicer, one of the things that they have found is a good cadence is important. So getting to 160 to 180 steps per minute. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, or if you're counting one-sided, getting into that 80 to 90 range, right? If you're counting every left foot as it strikes. And that cadence is a more optimal or efficient cadence. Again, cadence is going to change depending on how fast you go, if you're going uphill or downhill, if you're trying to sprint versus you're trying to slow or jog, but try and work on that cadence. That's actually been shown to be very helpful and can correct some other things while you're running. One of the other things is just to look at symmetry. Don't worry about where your pelvis is or anything like that unless you have some big deficiencies or unless you have an injury. You want to work on symmetry and making sure you stay symmetrical from your left half to your right half and working on those kind of things. Hope you enjoy. I'll come up with a second part later this week and we'll talk a little bit more about running and different correctives that you can do or different things that you can do to modify your